Yo, Mystery Fam, welcome back to Mystery Exposed. I'm Big Cool Crazy, and here we unravel the chilling tales of haunted experiences that linger in the shadows. And tonight, we're diving into the spine-tingling comparison between two real-life hauntings that have made their way to the film world. We're exploring the story of Latoya Ammot, the inspiration behind Netflix's newest movie, The Deliverance, and comparing it to the infamous Enfield Poltergeist, which became the basis for The Conjuring 2. Stay tuned.
Drifting through the sands of time, echoes of the beats in mind. A journey bound by fate's design, mysteries of space we find. Nostalgia rides on haunting chords, whispers of the past they call. Curiosity is striking.
Before we dive in, I want to make something very clear. This episode is not about dividing people by race or background. It's about recognizing that every story, regardless of who it involves, deserves to be heard and understood. The paranormal does not discriminate, and neither should we when it comes to giving these accounts the attention they deserve. So let's explore different factors like race and resources can influence the way these stories are told and perceived. In 2011, Latoya Ammot moved into what she thought was her dream home in Gary, Indiana, with her 3 children. But soon after, the family began experiencing bizarre and terrifying events that would forever change their lives. This story might remind you of another story, Peggy Hodgson, a single mother of 4 who in the late 1970s moved into a council house in Enfield, London. Her experiences with the supernatural became the inspiration for The Conjuring 2. Both Latoya and Peggy were single mothers doing their best to provide for their families. Both encountered terrifying and supernatural forces that threatened their homes and their sanity. But despite these similarities, their stories took very different paths, both on how they were handled at the time and how they were later portrayed in the media and on film. While The Conjuring 2 dramatizes these events, it's important to remember that real families were at the center of all these terrifying experiences. Peggy Hodgson's haunting quickly gained media attention and drew the involvement of paranormal investigators, including Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were later immortalized in The Conjuring 2. The Enfield Poltergeist case, which became one of the most well-documented hauntings in history, with extensive coverage and public interest.
These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
And this was, the beginning of winter, so that was very odd.
Latoya Ammot's story, on the other hand, didn't attract the same kind of immediate attention. As a black woman in a low-income neighborhood, Latoya faced different challenges. It took a series of increasingly terrifying events in the fight to get the authorities to take her seriously before a story finally caught the media's attention. But even then, the coverage often focused on the sensational aspects rather than the empathy or understanding. These differences in media portrayal and public reception can often be traced back to the deeper societal issues, including race and access to resources. Latoya and Peggy's story are just 2 of many haunting tales, but not every story gets the attention it deserves. Let me tell you about another case of the haunting of Estefania Guedes Lazaro. In 1990, Estefania allegedly began experiencing terrifying visions and seizures after using a Ouija board. Her family reported seeing shadowy figures and even hearing strange noises in their home. Despite their pleas for help, the case remained relatively obscure outside of Spain. Why do some stories become blockbusters while others remain in the shadows? Part of it has to do with who tells a story, and the other part has to do with who's listening. In many cases, it's the stories from the underrepresented communities, whether due to race, socioeconomic status, or geography, that go unheard. But just because these stories aren't in the spotlight doesn't mean they're any less real or any less deserving of the attention. It's not making this about race or dividing people. It's about recognizing that all these stories deserve to be told. Whether it's a black family in Gary, Indiana, or a working class family in London, or a young girl in Spain, these experiences are all a part of our shared human history. The paranormal does not discriminate, and neither should we when it comes to giving these accounts the attention they actually deserve. That's why it's so important to bring these stories to light, especially from communities that have historically been underrepresented. When we only hear one kind of story, we miss out on all the richness and diversity of the human experience. And in the world of the paranormal, that means missing out on some truly incredible and chilling tales. That's it, Mystery Fam. Whether it's the Ammot family, the Hodgkins, or Estefina from Spain, these accounts of the paranormal are all a part of the human experience. By bringing these stories to light, we not only enrich our understanding of the unknown, but we also honor the people who lived through these events. So let's continue to stay curious and stay spooky, and most importantly, stay open to every story that's out there. I'm Big Cool Crazy, out.